What's good in the neighborhood, boys? We are back, and today we're going to be predicting the entire main card for this UFC Apex card this weekend. It's a pretty mediocre card for an Apex card, guys. I know the UFC, they don't usually go too all out, but the main event sucks, guys. I honestly don't care one bit about Tatsuro Taira versus this Park kid. I don't even know how to say the kid's first name. So this entire video I'm going to be calling him Park. That's not racist, guys. That's just I want to have it easy on myself. Before we get into my predictions, subscribe, man. It would mean a lot if you go ahead and subscribe. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. It would mean a lot. It takes 1 second, dude. We're at like 860 right now, man. Subscribe. But without further ado, let's talk about it. The first fight of the night we have on this main card, we have Kevin Vallejos versus Danny Silva. This is actually an interesting fight because if you guys know Kevin Vallejos, you're probably a hardcore. You're not one of those casuals who just tune in for every card now and then. Kevin Vallejos, a lot of people are talking about him. A lot of hardcores like me, they're talking about him because I'll tell you what, this guy is the Argentinian Ilia Topuria, dude. He's a young prospect. He's on the rise. He's only 23, and he's pretty much undefeated. I believe his only loss is to Gene Silva on Dana White's Contender Series, and I think he's really good. I really do think he's good. He is very good boxing, very slick boxing, very composed boxing. He's one of those guys similar to Ilia Topuria who just stands in that full-on boxing stance, sticks his front leg out, which Danny Silva could exploit if he's smart. But we'll see, dude. I think Ilia Topuria's brother, Kevin Vallejos, he's a crafty fighter, and I think he's going to be able to get this done, dude. I think he's just going to be a little bit more technical. Just his jabs are better, his movement's better, his head movement, dude. Let me tell you about Kevin Vallejos, his head movement. And he has a solid ground game, if I'm being honest, too. I've seen this kid shoot some double legs. In his last fight, I forgot, it was some Asian dude on that Roman Dolidze versus Marvin Vettori 2 card, and he was able to just do some solid ground and pound, dude. He was able to get it out of there in the first round, dude. I don't know how Danny Silva wins this realistically. I think maybe if he pressures early, if he just throws bombs, dude, if he wants to finish. But I've seen this guy fight, I believe, once, and he gassed out pretty early, so that's pretty concerning to me. So I think Danny Silva's only chance of winning this is he just crashes early, dude. If he lands a bomb and Vallejos just gets chinned, which I don't think that's possible. But yeah, I think Kevin Vallejos is gonna touch this guy up. He's gonna piece him up, just slick, nice, and mean, dude. I hope he can get a finish. So I'd go Kevin Vallejos, be a second round finish. I think if he got a finish, dude, that would really elevate this kid's name. He'd be considered up there, man, in the featherweight rankings. One more fight and this guy's probably ranked. So Kevin Vallejos by second round TKO. Moving on to the next fight. Definition of an Apex fight right here, guys. We got Elisquiel, like Valesky dos Santos. I don't even know how to say the guy's first name. I'm gonna call him dos Santos because that's realistically all I know how to call him. I believe Neil Magny, he's coming off the last 2 fights where he got chinned brutally, man. I tell you, this guy, he got chinned by Michael Morales, and then he went and fought CP and got chinned by CP. CP didn't even hit him. I don't even know how he got knocked out, though. But obviously, Neil Magny, definition of a crafty vet, definition of an absolute gatekeeper, dude, definition of a journeyman, definition of one of those guys who's been around for a while. He has a big welterweight frame. Obviously, he's a long, rangy striker. He has really good cardio. Obviously, we've seen it in his last win, I believe, against Mike Malott, when he was able to out-cardio him and get a win over Mike Malott in like the final minute. And obviously, Neil Magny, he's got some crafty striking. Obviously, he's mainly a grappler. We'll see how his jiu-jitsu holds up if this guy can throw up a submission over a flashy striker like Dos Santos, who throws up weird stuff, dude. He's a little bit older. He's a little bit inconsistent, but so is Neil Magny, dude. Both of these guys are inconsistent. Like I said, definition of an absolute Apex fight. He's a flashy striker. He throws weird spinning kicks and elbows. I think that's part of the reason why this kid was able to absolute Marauder Max BSD back in the day. And you look at this guy's resume, he has some weird, I think this Elisquiel dos Santos has a win over Sean Strickland or something like that. Just weird guys on his resume that are actually pretty good, like a win over BSD and Strickland. I don't know, man. Maybe he can get it done over Neil Magny, but I think Neil Magny, the key to victory, dude, just pressure early, clinch, make this dirty, hold him against the cage, smudge him, drag it to the ground if you need, wear this old man down. Look at the picture of this guy. He looks old just in the picture, and I think this picture's from a couple years ago. So imagine how he looks now. I think Dos Santos just has to gamble early, dude. I think he's going to be able to knock out Neil Magny, dude. Neil Magny has nothing. He doesn't even have a chin anymore. One strike on this guy's chin lands flush, and he's going to be able to get it done. And I can't trust Neil Magny's chin anymore. Guys, we are gone are the days of me trusting Neil Magny to even win a fight, dude. The kid's washed. I honestly don't know how bad Mike Malott is for losing to this guy. But My prediction, dude, I believe if Dos Santos doesn't even land early, even if he doesn't, he's still going to fade. But Neil Magny, he's just not the guy we all knew. And maybe this can go to a close decision. But over the times, dude, I know Neil Magny's not the type of gas out. But I would say Dos Santos, I give him the first two. Maybe he can get a finish in that second round. And maybe Neil Magny takes the third round. So overall, I think I'll go with the decision for Dos Santos. That is my prediction for that fight. Moving on to the next fight we have here. Nora Canoli versus Carol Rosa. And I think Nora Canoli is that girl who fought on the opening fight of UFC 314. That's how I know her. And apparently, she's on a little bit of a run right now. She's a Frenchie, and she's a European Muay Thai champ that I'm reading off my notes right now. She's got some solid counters, but she's not the type of person to just take you down. She's not a grappler, boys. And Carol Rosa, she pressures hard early. She throws a lot of significant strikes per minute. She's an active and volume striker. And apparently, she has decent wrestling defense, but obviously, like my notes say, Nora Canoli does not have much takedown threat, so I don't even know why that would be important to know. But the game plan for Carol Rosa, walk your opponent down. Listen, you got to have your chin up. You got to bite down on that mouthpiece. You got to be an absolute marauder, dude. Carol Rosa, walk her down. Walk her down. Use those leg kicks. Use those jabs, because that's realistically the only way you're winning this over a crafty Muay Thai thiker like Nora Canoli. And I think Nora Canoli's being able to look for counters. She's going to be able to maybe even shoot a takedown, man. I mean, women's MMA is so weird. I remember watching Carol Rosa's last fight, and she looked absolutely abysmal. I think she won her last fight, but she still just looked really bad. Nora Canoli, I think she's on a bit of a winning streak right now. I could be wrong, but she won her last fight. I know that for sure at UFC 314. And I've seen her shoot a couple double legs. She hasn't been able to get them, but who knows? Maybe she can pick up a crafty little decision win. So Nora Canoli is my prediction for a decision I'd go with. And let me tell you about this fight, kid. This is an absolute war. We have Elvis Brenner. He got chinned in his last two fights, guys. It's not looking too good. His chin's not looking too good. But we got Esteban Ribovic. I've talked about this guy before. Talked about this guy right after his last fight in that Asu Amabaya versus Mano Kopp fight. When he lost to, I don't even know who it was. It was some Egyptian guy that he lost to, who has also faced Dan Hooker. You know, I know weird stuff, guys, but Esteban Ribovic was robbed brutally in his last fight. He rocked the kid. He had him stunned. He had him wobbled, and I believe Esteban Ribovic got it done. Obviously, before that, he had the fight of the year contender against Daniel Zellhuber, and I don't know how good that is aged, guys, because Daniel Zellhuber, the kid got pieced up. He got crafty vetted by Michael Johnson, so maybe going to war with Zellhuber isn't exactly a good look for Ribovic. But still, dude, Elvis Brenner, the kid's been chinned his last two fights. I've said it before. Ribovic, he's a fast, high striker. He has high output. He's always upright. He has great cardio, like I said. And obviously, he has power in his hands, dude. He's a pretty good finish rate. Obviously, Elvis Brenner does too. Elvis Brenner, they're decently similar fighters. I'd say Elvis Brenner just has that, like, he's a little bit more wild than him. He's a little bit more less technical. He's a little bit of a marauder, dude. He throws bombs. He has decent scrambles. I've seen this guy scramble a lot in his last couple fights. He likes submissions, and he does gas, though. That is something that I can see happening in this fight. He's going to gas, and I think if the judges are actually on his side, Ribovic, he can keep it technical. He can use some angles. He can kick from range, dude, and if Brenner's just going to try to brawl, and that's not going to go good. So if the judges are on Ribovic's side, I am going to go Ribovic. I might even say a finish, dude. I think he's just he's just a better fighter, dude. I mean, the only way that Brenner wins this is if Ribovic wants to take this to a brawl, because Brenner's probably going to win the brawl. I think Ribovic just has smarter fight IQ than I think. He's not stupid, guys. He's not going to try to go in a brawl in this fight. He's going to try to keep it technical. You know, I will say it's not ridiculous for Ribovic to try to enter a brawl. Like I said, his last two fights have been kind of gritty. So I hope he's not stupid, dude. I hope he doesn't try to get into a brawl, because people forget, man, Elvis Brenner, he's a little bit of a crafty fighter. But moving on to the next fight, we do have Mateusz Sobreski versus Chris Duncan. Mateusz Sobreski was also coming off a fight of the year contender against Mythibek Orbay. This is what I'm saying, guys. Like, we got a pretty crafty fight night card this time around. Like, we got some absolute bangers in terms of no name value. I mean, none of these guys have name value, but on paper, these guys can throw hands. Tell you what, Mateusz Sobreski, this guy's mostly a wrestler. He has high takedown volume. He shoots a lot, 75% accuracy. He shoots 4 takedowns every 15-minute fight he has. And this guy's a wrestler, and he was piecing up. He beat Mythibek Orbay on the feet this last fight. He had Mythibek Orbay looking busted up. That win against Mythibek Orbay, it looks like he's aging well, dude. I think Chris Duncan's coming off a win at UFC London a couple months ago, And I think Duncan's good too, dude. He's a long striker. He doesn't look like he'd have a long reach. I don't know. Like, that's a weird thing to say, but he doesn't look like he'd have a long reach. He has a good ground game and actually a really good guillotine. I think he submitted his last opponent, or it might have been the one before that from a guillotine. But his takedown defense is something to note, guys. This is what I mean, man. I'm the best MMA predictor on YouTube, dude. I take notes. This is the first card that I've taken notes for in a while, guys. But still, my prediction rate is 61% this year. I'd say that's pretty good. But we're talking about percentages. I'll tell you about Chris Duncan's percentage rate for his takedown defense, 37. That is a very weak takedown defense rate. You know, maybe it's because the kid hops the guillotines all the time, but I think Mateusz Rebecki is going to take this guy down. You know, Mateusz Rebecki, his only loss in the UFC is to Diego Ferreira, one of the guys who's just always on the outside of their rankings. Or is it Chris Ferreira? I forget his name. Like the guy Grant Dawson just fought. I think the game plan, the key to victory for Mateusz Rebecki should be to drag him down early, dude. Grind, land some knees, just be a marauder on the ground, sorry, not the feet, and just ground and pound, dude. Chris Duncan, like I said, his takedown defense is really rough. Chris Duncan on the feet, dude, you're going to try to counter, in my opinion. You got to try to do everything you can. You got to try to scramble on the feet. You got to just try to be active, because Mateusz Rebecki is going to be shooting for your knees every 5 seconds, buddy. If Rebecki manages to land early takedowns, I think he's going to be able to get this done. I don't see Chris Duncan as realistically a threat anywhere. Even the striking, dude, Mateusz Rebecki. I'm high on Rebecki, guys. In case you can't tell, I'm just glazing him. But he has really good wrestling. I think he's like a former state wrestler, and maybe back in Poland, I don't really know. But like I said, Chris Duncan, he doesn't have that good of a ground game. Mateusz Rebecki, his striking is honestly improving, and I think I'm going to go with Rebecki via third. I'll go decision, dude. I'll say 30-27 decision for Rebecki. And, yeah, man, that's just my pick. Now we'll move on to the co-main event of the... Oh, this is the co-main event of the night, actually. So, we'll move on to the main event, actually, dude. We got Tatsuro Taira versus Park. I told you I'm not going to say his full name because I honestly don't really know how to say it. Obviously, Taira is... He's just a grappling machine, dude. The kid's striking... It's absolutely mediocre. But he lost to Brandon Royval in his last fight. Brandon Royval, dude. Unless you're Joshua Van, it's not easy to beat. Unless you're Joshua Van in Pantoja, it's not that easy to beat Brandon Royval. I honestly thought Tatsuro Taira was gonna beat Brandon Royval though, so it was pretty underwhelming. I thought he had a decent shout for winning, guys. Call me a casual, but Tatsuro Taira might have been robbed against Brandon Royval. Obviously, Tatsuro Taira's jiu-jitsu is some of the best in the flyweight division. He just has really good cardio. Obviously, his only loss was just his last fight. It was a split decision. And if you ask me, dude, Tatsuro Taira, I think he is one of Pantoja's hardest matchups, dude. If Pantoja gets past Joshua Van, and he doesn't want to go up to bantamweight, which I think is ridiculous for Pantoja not wanting to go up to bantamweight. But if Pantoja gets past Joshua Van, which I don't know how likely that is, say he does though. I mean, Tatsuro Taira is next in line. He's just a hard matchup for Pantoja. And honestly, they're decently similar fighters, except Tatsuro Taira is a little bit less gritty, and he's a little bit worse in the striking. But still, dude, Tatsuro's striking is an absolute dog. That's something he needs to work on. And I hope he's learned how to do that this fight camp, because this Park kid, dude, he's purely just a striker, man. And he's not even purely just a striker. I've seen a couple submissions on this guy's record. He's on a 9, obviously he's 10-0, but his last 9 fights have ended in finish. It's scary, man. I'm scared. I'm scared for Tatsuro Taira. Happy, thank you. He's not going to be so happy if he gets absolutely chinned by this Park kid. And I remember I don't even know what card it was, but I remember watching this Park kid's last fight. And he looked good. He got a finish, like I said, I believe it was a KO. He has 100% takedown defense, dude. This is actually a close fight, man. Now that I'm looking at the stats, I think he just needs a finish. I think he just needs to be really active across 5 rounds, man. And I know I'm going to sound like a casual, but I'm not very familiar with Park. And he needs to be really active. He needs just to finish. And that's his only way to beat Tatsuro Taira, which is not ridiculous to say, guys. I'm not saying it like that's something that's pretty much impossible to finish Tatsuro Taira, dude. I mean, with 100% takedown defense, your last 9 wins coming by finish, it's not ridiculous to say that this kid could beat Tatsuro Taira. Maybe we could be seeing someone new in the flyweight division. I wouldn't hate this. If Park beat Taira, I wouldn't exactly hate this, dude. I think Tatsuro Taira, you got to be a snake in the cage, man. Be an absolute marauder in terms of takedowns. You got to shoot some takedowns, stay on top. Maybe even, I think Tatsuro Taira could get a submission. I feel like he is, dude. And Park, use your jab. I think Park's a little bit of a... He's a nice striker, dude. I've watched him hit. I had to go back and watch highlights of Park fighting, and this kid, I don't know. I've never seen an Asian box this well. I'll tell you that, dude. He has nice jabs. He's really fast. You know, I think he just has to avoid the clinch. He has to avoid a triangle lock because Tatsuro Taira, oh, his triangle lock is phenomenal, dude. He has to knock Tatsuro Taira out to win. That's just my opinion, dude. I think Tatsuro Taira just has the gas tank. He's been in these 5-round fights a lot longer. I think his last 2 fights have been 5-round fights. And Park, you're unexperienced, dude. I can see Park having a... I say this, man. I say Tatsuro Taira is going to be able to get this done with like a close decision. I'll say 48-47 decision. Tatsuro Taira is going to become ranked. It's going to be that good of a fight. We're going to be seeing, not Tatsuro Taira, sorry, Park. He's going to put on that good of a performance where he's going to become ranked. And maybe we'll put him at like 15th. And a lot of people are going to be talking about Park. Maybe this guy can be something in the future, man. And it'll be good to see Tatsuro Taira get back on a win. But that's just my opinion for this fight now we have, dude. Like I said, I'm not very familiar with Park, so I don't know what to give you guys. I tried watching clips. I tried studying on him. But I would say I'm pretty well educated on the rest of the card. And check out my TikTok for the rest of the card predictions. That's going to do it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, leave a comment down below. If you think of a casual, leave a comment down below. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. MMA Outpost out.